I remember the taste of iron before I remember the pain. Blood ran down the back of my throat as I dragged myself across the pavement. Each breath scraped my lungs raw. My left arm hung wrong, loose, dead weight, dislocated. The streetlight flickered above me like it was deciding whether I deserved to be seen. Behind me, their front door slammed. Locked. My brother-in-law's last words still echoed in my skull. Should have just signed it. A guarantor. That's all they wanted me to be. A signature. A financial body to absorb their debt when everything inevitably collapsed. When I refused, he used his fists. My sister watched. No, she didn't just watch. She stepped closer while I was on the floor, cheek pressed against cold tile, and whispered the words I will never forget. You should have signed the mortgage. Not fear, not shock, just annoyance. Like I had inconvenienced her. I crawled the rest of the way down the driveway. Concrete scraped my knees open. The night air felt thick and heavy. I made it to my car. Didn't drive. My hands shook too badly, so I walked. 2 blocks, 3, then 4. My parents' house stood at the end of the street like the last place on earth where something might still make sense. I knocked. Softly at first, then harder. My knuckles left streaks of blood on the white paint. When the door opened, my mother screamed. My father stared at me. Bloody face, broken shoulder, barely standing. I tried to explain, but the words never came out. The world tilted sideways, and I collapsed. I woke up in a hospital bed. White ceiling, antiseptic air. My shoulder strapped tight against my chest. My father sat beside the bed, swatching. His face wasn't angry. It was something worse, careful, measured. What happened? He asked. 3 words. I told him the simple version. The truth would take longer. They wanted me to sign a mortgage guarantee, I said. For their new house. My father nodded slowly. He already knew. They'd asked him too. He'd said no. That should have been the end of it. But my sister had changed over the past year. Subtle at first. Late night calls, whispered arguments. Desperation hiding behind forced smiles. Their finances were wrong. The new car. The sudden renovations. The expensive vacations that appeared on social media like trophies. None of it matched their income. Still, I refused. Because numbers don't lie, and their numbers screamed disaster. When I told them no that night, my brother-in-law's smile disappeared. His patience too. The first punch came fast. The second broke something inside my shoulder. I remember my sister standing there, arms crossed, watching, not horrified, annoyed, like I'd broken a deal we'd never made. You should have signed the mortgage, she said again. I thought that was the betrayal. I was wrong. That was only the beginning. The police came later that night. 2 officers. Quiet voices. Careful questions. They wrote everything down, but something about their expressions bothered me. They weren't surprised. They exchanged looks. Subtle ones. Professional. Then one of them asked a strange question. Did they explain why they needed a guarantor? Yes, I said. For the bank. The officer nodded slowly, but he didn't write anything. That's when the suspicion started to grow. A slow, quiet infection inside my mind. After I was discharged, I started digging, not emotionally, logically. Financial records, public filings, property databases. My sister and her husband had applied for mortgages with 3 different lenders. All rejected. High risk, unstable income, outstanding debts. But something else appeared buried in the documents. 2 companies. Both under my brother-in-law's name. Both drowning in loans. And both using something strange as collateral. Future guarantor agreements. My name appeared there. Pre-filled. Unsigned. But ready. My brother-in-law hadn't asked me to become a guarantor. He had already promised lenders I would be. Without my consent. And if I signed, every dollar they owed would become mine. Every debt. Every failure. Everything. I sat back in my chair. The pain in my shoulder pulsed quietly, but the real pain sat somewhere deeper. Because my sister knew. She had to. No one stands that calmly while their husband breaks their brother's bones, unless the plan was already written. 3 days later, the police called. They asked me to come to the station. Not to file a complaint. To review evidence. The detective slid a folder across the table. Photos. Bank documents. Recorded phone calls. My sister's voice filled the room when he pressed play. Cold. Precise. Once he signs, she said, everything transfers to him. What if he refuses? A pause. Then my sister answered. He won't. Silence. The detective looked at me. They've been under investigation for financial fraud for months. My stomach tightened. The detective continued. We believe the assault happened because the plan collapsed. Collapsed. Because of me. Because I said no. The detective leaned forward slightly. You saved yourself. 2 weeks later, my sister showed up at my parents' house. No warning, no apology. Just anger. You involved the police, she snapped. My father opened the door wider. Let her see me sitting in the living room. Arm in a sling. Quiet. She looked different now. Not powerful. Desperate. They're saying we committed fraud, she said. I didn't respond. Instead, I placed a folder on the table. Bank records, audio transcripts, loan documents, her own voice printed on paper. She stared at them. Her face drained slowly. You recorded us, she whispered. No, I said quietly. The police did. The silence stretched. Crushing. You ruined everything, she finally said. I looked at her carefully. Studied her like a stranger. No, I said. You did. They were arrested 2 days later. Fraud, assault, financial conspiracy. The police later told me the officers who responded that night had already been building a case. They just didn't expect it to end with blood on my parents' doorstep. I visited the house once more before it was seized by the bank. The driveway still had faint stains where I collapsed. The door looked smaller now. Less powerful. Just wood. Just paint. Just another place where people lie. My shoulder still aches sometimes. But pain fades, clarity doesn't. I lost a sister that night, but the truth gave me something better. Distance. And peace. Because some betrayals don't break you. They expose the people who were already broken, and once you see them clearly, you never go back.